This program contains graphic content which may not be suitable for all audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
You can become a part of this great heritage simply by calling in.
From my cold, dead hands.
911, what's the location of the emergency?
Sandy Hook School. I think there's somebody shooting in here.
6-7 Sandy Hook School. Caller's indicating she thinks there's someone shooting in the building.
The children are taken to the fire department where frantic parents swarm, desperate to find out if their kids are safe. But too many families aren't as lucky.
The majority of those who died today were children. Beautiful little kids between the ages of 5 and 10 years old.
Wayne LaPierre, Executive Vice President of the National Rifle Association.
Wayne LaPierre is basically a walking, talking iteration of the National Rifle Association.
He's not an avid shooter himself, but nonetheless he's been a very effective lobbyist for gun rights and been a very effective spokesperson for the NRA.
LaPierre became somewhat of a household name in 2012 when he offered a defensive and seemingly tone-deaf response to the school massacre at Sandy Hook.
The only thing that stops a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun.
NRA, stop killing our children.
The NRA does best when it's under attack.
The NRA has blood on its hands.
During the Obama administration, you had a spate of tragic mass killings in the United States, and this put the gun world on the defensive. When people feel that their access or their ability to obtain and keep guns is threatened, that's when they support the National Rifle Association.
And indeed, it was boom time for both NRA membership enrollment and gun sales in America. Under the leadership of LaPierre, the NRA was credited for defeating President Obama's legislative agenda for stronger gun regulations in his second term.
All in all, this was a pretty shameful day for Washington.
In 2012, the NRA spent a grand total of $19 million on the federal election. Now, national outrage over a gun massacre killing 20 elementary school children and 6 adults. It comes on top of a rash of other mass casualty attacks in recent years. Columbine, 15 dead. Virginia Tech, 33 dead. Aurora, Colorado, 13 dead. With a majority of Americans supporting new restrictions on firearms.
This is gun sales in the United States month by month. The biggest peak there is when Barack Obama was re-elected president shortly after the Sandy Hook massacre.
We heard this again and again from experts we interviewed. It was a perfect storm that sent gun sales through the roof.
About 15, 20 people got shoved into a one-person bathroom until he started shooting through the doorway.
Dozens who did not make it out, becoming hostages stuck inside. Around 5 a.m., explosions at the club. Moments later, we learn it's a controlled explosion set off by police to distract the gunman. An armored vehicle smashes through a wall of the club, and SWAT officers swarm in behind. 11 of them suddenly involved in a shootout with the killer.
We had 11 Orlando police officers that exchanged gunfire with the suspect and killed him.
And of course, the NRA was an early backer of the Trump campaign.
The Second Amendment is so important. They're not going to take your guns away, folks. They're not going to take your guns away. Not going to do it.
In 2016, the NRA spent $419 million on political campaigns and more than $30 million on Donald Trump alone.
And about $54 million for the entire election, and they were very successful.
The election of Donald Trump in November 2016 seemed to signal that the NRA was at the peak of its power.
There's no bigger fan of the Second Amendment than me, and there's no bigger fan of the NRA.
It also endorsed Trump earlier than it had endorsed any presidential contender ever.
I'm officially announcing the NRA's endorsement of Donald Trump for president.
In 2016, we saw the political pendulum swing from President Obama to President Trump. How did President Trump's election spur or change gun culture in the U.S.?
President Trump's election really solidified that one aspect of American gun culture, which is very sort of anti-government, anti-crime, and that has always been part of that gun culture, but it really then kind of gets its final seal of approval in 2016.
Hillary wants to essentially abolish the Second Amendment.
Their goal is to eliminate the Second Amendment.
Every time there's a mass shooting, Americans donate to the NRA.
We're here. We're not going anywhere.
And they buy AR-15s en masse.
To stop a bad guy with a gun, it takes a good guy with a gun.
And in turn, a vicious cycle continues.
As guns pervade American society, so do mass shootings.
There is an active shooter at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School.
Could be firecrackers. I think we got shots fired. Possible shots fired. 1200 building.
That was the warning Scott Peterson radioed to the Broward County Sheriff's Office. But while Nicholas Cruz went on his 6-minute deadly shooting rampage, the school resource officer never even stepped foot into Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School. Tuesday, the 56-year-old was arrested by the same sheriff's department where he once worked. After a 15-month-long investigation, the Florida Department of Law Enforcement found he was derelict in his duty and that Peterson failed to act consistently with his training and fled to a position of personal safety while Cruz shot and killed students and staff. The report says Peterson knew where the gunfire was coming from, but did not investigate the source. We also see him running in video before stopping to radio dispatch again.
Make sure we get some units over here. I need to shoot down Stoneman Douglas.
But investigators found Peterson also told deputies to stay away from the school instead of following protocol to eliminate the immediate threat. Fred Guttenberg's daughter, Jamie, died in the shooting. Tuesday, he tweeted, "I have no comment except to say rot in hell. You could have saved my daughter." Other grieving parents say at least there's some accountability now.
He was a coward and he froze outside the building instead of going in and engaging the threat.
It's absolutely a nightmare, and this is the only thing we wanted for us, what we've been fighting for since February 14th.
Scott Peterson has defended his actions since this all happened. The 11 charges against him include child neglect. He's in the same jail tonight where that alleged gunman is also locked up.
6 minutes and about 20 seconds. In a little over 6 minutes, 17 of our friends were taken from us, 15 were injured, and everyone, absolutely everyone, in the Douglas community was forever altered. No one could comprehend the devastating aftermath or how far this would reach or where this would go. For those who still can't comprehend because they refuse to, I'll tell you where it went. Right into the ground, 6 feet deep.
I'll take on the NRA. Ban assault rifles, ban bump stocks.
1 out of 5 guns are obtained without a background check.
The NRA.
I'll fight the gun lobby.
Because the NRA is an embarrassment, and weapons I used in Iraq have no business on our streets.
The satellite's confused, cause on Saturday night, the airwaves were full of compassionate light, and the silicon heart warmed to the sight of a billion candles burning. I'm not saying that the battle is won, but on Saturday night, all those kids in the sun rest technology sword from the hands of the warlords.